Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Fang-Mei Law from Tiffin University. Today, I'm going to conduct a lecture of research design. The topic for this one is Lesson 2, Survey and Questionnaire Design. As you know, if you are conduct a survey research design, you need to have a very good tool of collecting data. And we call this tool is questionnaire, right? And because that's the main tool you use to collect your data. So it's important to have a survey that match with what you want to collect the data for. And also during your design, they have some kind of pros and cons. How do you put the questions? How do you have people answer your question? They also they are very important. Okay, so I'm going to turn my screen, my screen to my computer screen. Okay, and since I use my computer room program for this lecture, so you'll see me on the screen on the side, the small box. I will be talking to you through there. Okay, sounds good? Okay, so let's start it. Our lesson 2, survey and questionnaire. Are you ready? Okay. Okay. So lesson 2, survey and questionnaire. When we do the survey, okay, what's called survey? Survey is a series of questions or statements called items used in a questionnaire or an interview to measure the self-report or response of respondents, right? So when we do the survey, most important is how do you make those statements? Okay, how do you make the statement? Are you put into the question style or you put into the statement style? Okay, you are the researcher, but at least you are asked about yes, no, true or false. If you ask them the Likert scale like 1 to 5 or 1 to 4, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, I feel the statement will be better. Okay, but you are the researcher, you can decide. Okay, so the next term we have to explain is what is survey research design. Okay, so survey research design is you survey, right? You survey. And then if you use a survey, either you give them a written form for people to read themselves and then answer you, or you can use oral form to ask them. The purpose for this is to get the data, and the data actually in the quantified form. So that's mean you ask them to give you a number. Use the number to mean whatever they mean. Okay, they are either for example, you ask them to agree or do they disagree, and then you say strongly disagree call 5, strongly disagree call 1. So they will answer you based on whatever you design for them to answer. Okay, so type of survey items. Okay, the first type we call open-ended items. So open-ended item is mean you didn't provide the answer, the list of answer for them to choose. Rather, you ask them to give you all their opinion, like essays questions. Okay, so for example, here you say, what are your view on the role of patient teaching medical student? So you didn't give them any choice, right? So do you believe they should be what? Okay, and they just have them kind of like give you whatever they have in mind. This is called open-ended items. Okay, then you can do partially open-ended question, just like here, the same question we had before, but rather for them to tell you what they think, you give them the choice. Like A is teaching, B is assessment, C is curriculum development, these others. Okay, well, if you look at this, let's go back to the first one, open-ended item. The problem for that, if you are doing so many people, like for example 100, and people give you all different opinion, how do you put them into the systematic way to put in your data, right? So unless you are doing the like a qualitative, not quantitative, qualitative. So you want to do more deeper interview, less participants, then open-ended item may be a good idea. But if you do it doing the bigger sample size, then you may consider use the partial open-ended item. Okay. Well, but for this one, you also need to think about what do you want to do for D. For others, the advantage for this is maybe some role, for example, for this, some role the patient can do to helping medical student. Maybe you didn't think about, or you have no idea when you create this questionnaire, but then the participants can give you some their input, so that's good. But then also, if you have so many different others idea, how do you plan to do the data? Okay, so you also need to take into consideration when you design for your questionnaire. Okay, the next one, that's what we do the most, called stricted items, also called close-ended items. Okay, so then you give them all the possible choice, and they have to pick one. Okay, so this called close-ended items. Okay, so for example, for the example I put here, we call Likert scale, right? Likert scale, like strongly agree, neither agree, no disagree, disagree, and strongly disagree. So you can have them put a check mark on the side. Or you can say 1 equal this, 2 equal this, 3 equal this, 4 equal this, and then for them to circle the number. Okay, so you can have like 4 items, like this one have 5 items. But one thing I'm a little bit concerned is for the way you put this one. If you put this way, they have neither agree nor disagree. And then in my experience that, quite often people, they don't want to think about how to answer your question. They tend to put that way. So then you may have so many people give you the answer that's 3, but you don't really get any good information. So if I were you, I maybe take out that 1. I may just have 4 of this, like. And then also I like to have a disagree, like lower score, like strongly disagree 1, disagree 2, agree 3, strongly agree 4. Or you can put 6, like 6 items. So you have a strongly disagree 1, disagree 2, slightly disagree 3, then slightly agree 4, agree 5, strongly agree 6. Okay. Or the way the bottom, the example 1 to 7, 1 in the left side is strongly, extremely unlikely, and 7 is extremely likely, right? And then, in between they can pick depending on their degree of like, right? Okay. Then when you are writing survey item, there's some idea or something you have to be careful, and there's some guideline here. Okay, so first one is keep it simple. Okay, we suggest if you when you are writing your questions, put the language vocabulary about high school vocabulary. Okay, don't put too high tech or too much, professional words there, because some people may not understand. For example, if you like when you major, for example, many of my students, like you major in criminal justice, right? And you want to ask people some opinion about something you have a concern about from your field, but the language, the vocabulary, only you in a major know. If people from business school or art and science, they never learn that vocabulary. They may not know what the vocabulary mean in your questions, because same words can mean different in different field. Okay, but anyway, so keep it simple. Keep it simple. Okay. The second one is be careful is try to have don't ask two things at the same questions. Okay. For example, there say I enjoy the time we spend together and dislike the time we are apart. You ask two things. Do you want to ask them do they like to time together, or you want to ask them they dislike the time they are apart? Okay, so if the question like this, I would suggest you divide them into two questions. So then people know easy for them to answer. Also, when you ask question, you may want to use neutral and unbiased language. Okay, because you don't want to put some words, produce their emotional reaction. For example, they think you are biased, then or you're prejudiced, they may not want to answer your questionnaire. Okay, and then minimize the use of negative wording. Again, they are helping you out, and you don't want to make them unhappy, right? So it's important. Okay, another guideline here is avoid the response set. Okay, so for example, if all your question is follow same direction, that means if they agree with you, then the answer will be strongly agree. Okay, then they may start to not really read your questions. They just give you all the strongly agree, right? So the suggestion that in second item say you can use reverse coded item. That means some question, if they agree with you, they are answer strong agree. But some question, if they disagree with you, your statement, they have to say strongly agree. Okay, so if they are strongly agree, that means they disagree with you. Right? If they agree with you, they strongly disagree. So like reverse. Okay, but if you are reverse, make sure when you are ready to key in data, then you have to reverse your data back. So then then your result will be more consistent. You will have less bias, some mistake when you key run the data. Okay. If you have a question like this, you can discuss with me. Okay. Now, even we say avoid the response said that it's about question direction. When you do the questionnaire, you also want to make sure in the same union, you use the same way for them to respond. Okay, so like in the union, this union, you all use Likert scale 5 items. And then maybe your next union, you want to do some true-false question, and maybe another union, you want to use the yes/no questions. It's fine. Just make sure in each union, you want to use the same type of answer. Okay. And also, you are the researcher. You can decide how many points, how many how many points of Likert scale you want to give to them, but please keep between 3 to 10 points, okay? If you are over 10 points, I think that's too much, the difference there is hard to think. So I think 3 to 10 is good. Another way they give you the suggestion, say maybe you can use bipolar. So that's mean you have 0 in the middle, and then you like it, you put choose 1 and 2 and 3. If you don't like it, choose -1, -2, -3. And it's called bipolar scale, okay? But I personally prefer more like if you use more all the positive score, points, rather than have negative. I think that'll be maybe easier when you run the data. It's just my personal opinion. Okay. Then when you give them the answer, the Likert scale or yes, no, whatever, you just need to give them very clear information. This a label or anchor of the rating scale. So for example, is 1 mean what, 2 mean what, 3 mean what, 4 mean what, 5 mean what. Don't just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't know what's that mean. You need to give them a very good information there, okay? And then the questionnaire don't try not be too long, okay? Because that will take too much time. People may refuse to helping you out, okay? So minimize item and survey length. Okay, now quite often students ask me how long is called too long, okay? How short is okay? Let's say actually in your questionnaire, you have one part called demographic questions. Okay, you ask people gender, age, major, this kind of question. That's not counting into the how many number I'm going to say. Okay, so that part is separate. That part don't have to need to be 10 questions. Okay, just couple questions relate to their demographic information. Okay, and then when you get to the question you really want to measure, I say maybe 10 questions for each variable. So for example, you ask depression, then you have 10 questions for depression. You ask stress, and 10 questions about stress. Okay, so depending on how many variable then you want to do in your research. Okay, that clear? Okay. Also, you need to aware when you finish the questionnaire, you may want to answer yourself to see how much time it takes. Don't take too much. Don't put the questionnaire that need to take too much time. You may have difficult time to find the people want to respond to your questionnaire. Okay. Now, when you do the survey, you can do in person, you can do internet, and you can do mail. Okay, just keep you heads up because the pandemic. So actually, IRB not allow you to do in-person survey. Even that is very normal way when everything's fine. We have students, go to different class and then with the professor's permission and do in-person survey. But in this time, you only can do either mail or internet. Okay, mail or internet. But I suggest internet may be the best choice because when you do the mail, people may not respond. Okay, so but in general, you have this different way you can collect your data. Okay, now sometimes we can also use survey to do interview, and we call it interview surveys. Okay, like face-to-face interview. Advantage for this, you can control the time. You can do quick, faster, or you can slow down. Depending on how much time you have, depending on how many questions you like to ask. Drawback is take too much time consuming, because think about if you want to do what 100 people, then you need to take 100 hours, right? But quite often when they do face-to-face interview, they are conducting qualitative research. So they won't have too many participants, but they need a deeper information, right? Okay, another one we say it's called focus group interview. That means you can have a people, they are your target population samples, and you have them get together, and then they can discuss. Okay, in a small group like about 3 to 8. Okay, you use open-end questions. Your goal is you want them to share their idea with you. So my suggestion, you can do this in the beginning of your survey construction. So for example, you have no idea what kind of question you should have. So then you can have a group of people that willing to help you to get together and then to brainstorming. But again, during the pandemic, you may want to use the online meeting. Okay, that'll be more safe. Okay, you can also do the telephone interview. You can do telephone interview. You can call people, they're willing to answer, but and they're willing to answer and also willing to answer the phone. Advantage for this, you can outreach to so many different places, right? Disadvantage for this is they may not want to answer the phone, right? They may not want to answer the phone, and that is a problem, right? Okay, you can do telephone interview automated. So then that means you have phone automatically call and then for them to answer. You don't need to have a people there, and then they can avoid the bias. And people may be more likely to answer because they're not worried about somebody listen to their idea, right? Okay. Now, when we do the survey, and common problem is people don't want to answer, and they call non-response bias. But the issue is for people not want to respond, most likely they are disagree with the idea, and we need a lost voice, right? We need a lost voice, and then another part is if people willing to respond, then they may be the one agree with you or you're their friend. So the result can be biased too. So you just have to be balanced, make sure you have enough response rate. And that's called, let's say at least 75% can be, it's okay. So if you do the research and you write down your response rate is 75%, I think in general public, when they read your paper, they believe your information is trustworthy. Okay, how do you get your idea about survey? Okay, of course, you can start from theory, okay, and then from theory, to get idea and put your questionnaire and see how do you go there to predict, people's possible answer, that is the one, okay? Or you can from empirical generalization, like, some research or theory, research already got the idea, and from there, to put the, find out, what is the, this is how we generalize the result. Okay, how generalize the result. So then let's go back there. So you can go from your theory and then find out the information and then find out your result. Or you can do the experimental design, right, and get a empirical evidence and then generalize and use result. So for example, for use survey as example, when you got enough data, then that's called your empirical evidence, and you can use that to start to generalize and then to predict something and say, show people, hey, this is very important, we should follow this, and make some suggestion, because after you get all your survey done, you're already expert in the area. Okay, when you do the survey, please be very careful. Just because people want to helping you, it's not mean you can do whatever you want. Okay, so your survey itself should not be offensive or should not be stressful to the respondents. Okay, do not push them. Okay, just because they want to, either your friend or they just pass by. Don't push people. Okay, they have they have free. They have a. You need a promise. They can stop anytime they want. That's their right. Okay, and also do not hurt. Harsh respondent in a way. For the recruiting purpose, because just because you need to do your work, your research paper, then you need to be very nice when you are recruit people. Okay, and then it's important for the confidentiality and anonymity. So then we know for sure they don't have to write. You don't ask them name. Okay, and then even you don't know the name, but you don't share individually for how they answer. Okay, you put those data into your SPSS after you run, then they are public group opinion, and that's fine. But then you don't share personal opinion. Okay. Okay, so this is just some example from my own survey share with you, because quite often students want to know some example here. Okay, so for example, background information, sometimes we call demographic information. Like I ask gender, I ask for age, I ask ethnicity, major, school level. You can do this, or you can do in ethnicity, you put Caucasian, African American, Hispanic, Latino, all this, so they can put check. For the major, like our university have a criminal justice, you can put there, and then art and science and business school. So you put them out for them to check. Okay, and school level you can. I have here, it is here for they can circle it. Okay, but they just give you some idea about background information. Okay, and then this will be like when I do the statistical anxiety research, I create the questions. My question not only 10 questions, but I think 10 will be good like this. Okay, so you can see on the top, I have the title of the questionnaire, and I tell them how to answer. 1 is never, 2 is sometimes, 3 is usually, 4 is always. And then I put the number here for you to for them to just circle. I think this 4 here, disregard is 4. Okay, I don't think that's a good idea here. Okay, so I think that's just misleading. Okay, so anyway, you can also, if you have space, you can type never here, and then sometimes here, and usually here, and then always here. That'll be very helpful. Okay, or like this one, I give them 1 to 5. Okay, but then here I just have them write down the number. Okay, so that is a way you can do that too. Okay, so this is a reference. I got all this from that book. Okay, so this is the lesson 2, survey and questionnaire. And hopefully you find this lecture is helpful, give you some idea about how to construct your questionnaire. Okay, so thank you for listening. And then if you have any question, you can leave the message under that comments there. Okay, and then if you like it, you can even subscribe my channel, so if I have any new video come out, they will notify you. Okay, bye bye, thank you.